If you must blink, do it now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Cinema Savants.
The answer to what is happening to you is here.
Your weekly dose of movie news.
I like this ship. You know, it's exciting.
Movie reviews.
Wait, that's not a monster. That's a man wearing shoulder pads.
And all those rumor kind of things that keep popping up.
The only thing we don't have a god for is premature ejaculation. But I hear that that's coming quickly.
Here's your host.
Look at me, I didn't invite them.
Todd Vandenberg.
If I'm not me, who the hell am I?
And Rob Steele.
I can't speak for the other guys, but I'm in it for the money. I don't care if you go to jail.
That boy's about as sharp as a bowling ball.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
All I ask is a tall ship and a star to sail her by. All aboard, everybody.
Do. And hopefully one or more or both of us or all of us are live. And Rob is apparently still muted because Blog Talk is not being very cooperative, or I'm muted and Rob is talking, but hopefully one of us is talking and you can hear one of us. We are going live early because one of us, who will go unnamed except that his name is Todd, decided to have many odd things to have to do early tomorrow and late tomorrow. And
yeah, I'll blame you for that.
There he is. Fantastic. It still shows, by the way, that you're muted, but at least you're not now.
Not on this side. It said I was unmuted before the theme song kicked in, so I did the whole big intro spiel, and no one heard it.
Well, I heard the theme song at least.
Here I am, just talking away, and then I hear Ted? No, you're not Ted. You're Todd. I hear Todd say, yes, Rob's still muted. What the hell? No, I'm here. I'm babbling. I even introduced myself as William Shallard, like I said I would last week.
Well, you might as well repeat it because no one heard it.
That's okay. Too late.
Yeah.
Fine. We missed it. The moment is over.
Welcome to another partly spectacular episode, and we're off to a partly spectacular start, as always.
That's us.
Although I'm not disconnected yet, so that's good. I'm almost 5 minutes into the show, and I'm still on. So there you go.
Really 5 minutes. It's got to be at least 6 before you get disconnected.
That's true. That's coming up, though, I'm sure. How are you this lovely day?
I don't know. It's cold here for some reason. I don't know why. We've had really bizarre weather. During the week, it's been sunny and 70. Now that it's the weekend, it's partly sunny and 30-something. Now that we want to actually have the ability to now that we actually do have the ability to get out of the house and do fun things in the sun, it's too damn cold. Screw it. I'm staying inside. I may as well do a radio show about movies.
Should I tell you what the temperature is here? Do you want to hear that? Because it's 80.
You're in Florida.
It's 80.
It doesn't count. Yep.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count. 30. It is February. It's supposed to be cold, although that really sucks that it was not and decided to be like crappy cold on the weekend because, why not?
Well, then you have the forecast here for this week. Hey, let's wait till Monday till we get back up into the 70s.
Of course. Because everyone will be at work and completely incapable of enjoying it. They'll just look out the window and say, grumble, grumble, grumble.
Exactly.
Which is what I try to do. I literally say grumble, grumble, grumble. It's much more fun than actually grumbling. Confuses the hell out of people.
Speaking of grumbling, I have a bit of grumbling to do because,
yay!
As last week, I do not have a complete yes, no, kinda section. I have a yes. I've got 2 yeses. I got a no. I don't know that I have a kinda. But it's a big enough no to make up for the kinda.
You need to look for more mediocre films than if you don't have enough kindas. But continue.
So anyway, this week has 2 yeses. And the first yes is going to sound a little bit odd. So bear with me on this.
I'm bearing.
The first yes, Courtney Love, it's a what? Courtney Love has been signed on to play the mom in the mother of the Menendez brothers movies. I'm considering that to be a yes because if I recall the story correctly, the Menendez brothers shot and killed her.
That's what I'm thinking.
And I'm thinking it might be great to see her get shot and killed instead of her husband, Kurt Cobain, because he was talented and she was on crack. So is that horrible of me? I think that's probably horrible of me.
Well, maybe, but I thought the same thing.
See, it's kind of like that episode of CSI where Justin Bieber played a bad guy and it became the highest rated CSI show ever when they announced that he's going to die in this episode, and everyone tuned in to see Justin Bieber get blown away by, I think it was every single cop on the Las Vegas police force shot him at least twice.
And if only reality
highest rated CSI show.
Mirror art at times more often, at least in that instance, that would be. Well, I don't wish him to be dead. I just wish him to no longer be doing anything in the public eye. Yeah,
exactly.
Just go someplace else. Anyway.
The other yes I got was something that came from this morning when IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, which is a spectacular site,
indeed,
announced that they were going to be shutting down their message boards. Now, I see where some people are going to go, but Rob, that's a great place to get rumors and stuff, but this also means we're no longer going to have to look at those ads for, I work at home on the internet and make $750 an hour. Would you like to sign up for it? Click this link, click this link, click this link, click this. Shut up. That's all gone now.
When is the last time, literally, when is the last time you saw a thread on a message board with any activity at all, basically 4 or 5 messages or more, that did not have, my uncle made $7,930, I can't remember the last time. It's literally has been months, which is really unfortunate. I'm going
to go beyond that. I'll go decades. or
that's possible. Even. That's possible.
It is.
Yeah, it's gotten to be ridiculous where it's not enjoyable to use the message boards because you got to wade through this crap. And yeah, you can say, well, just ignore it and scroll through. And you do. But on some threads, it gets to the point you're scrolling through every other message, or sometimes 3 or 4 in a row, and it gets to be an incredible pain in the butt just to try to find a little information, like you said. And that's not what they're there for. So thanks, spammers, for totally screwing that up. And IMDb is not basically, a lot of people are just putting their efforts in for no pay, and no one is going to delete all that crap. Literally thousands and thousands of posts with more going on every day for no money. So thanks for screwing things up, you idiots. Anyway.
I consider that to be a yes.
That's a yes. IMDb is still an awesome source, like you said. It's just the message boards, at least for now, are gone.
The no gets complicated, so and it starts actually not in movies or TV, but in video games. So bear with me on this. I'll make it about movies.
Bearing. There
is a forthcoming video game based on Conan. Apparently it's called Conan Exiles. Okay? Now, one of the big things in video games these days is customizing your character. I mean, when I was growing up, you had Pac-Man. Pac-Man was a yellow circle, and there was nothing you could do about it. Mario was a bunch of blocks that kind of vaguely resembled a plumber in red overalls, and there was nothing you could do about that.
Right.
Today, like if you get the Pokemon Go game, you can adjust your character's skin color, height, size, clothes, hat, shoes, whatever. Very customizable. Now, in this Conan game, there is a customization feature where you can adjust the size of your genitals. Or if you're a woman, the size of your breasts.
Oh, my God.
Now,
that's totally not where I thought you were going. But, okay.
No, and you were hoping it wasn't, but, the reason they didn't really give a good reason as to why to do this other than, hey, let's see what happens. Apparently, there's even a physics engine built specifically to handle this section of the game.
Oh my God.
Having said that, this goes into a format that doesn't really exist anymore. It's called HD DVD. And if you don't remember back, 5 years ago when it existed.
Yeah.
That was the Betamax of the millennial generation. The thing I think was most impressive about HD DVD, and it didn't get talked about a lot, was you could adjust things in the movie on some discs. For example, if you get The Fast and the Furious, right, and you watch one of the car races or chases, I don't remember what it was in the movie. You can look at the car and go, that is a great car chase or whatever, but I don't like the color of that car. Click, now it's green. Click, now it's yellow. That was something that could happen in movies. And this is that's why the porn industry jumped all over HD DVD, because then you could have people take their own faces and superimpose it on the people in porn, and oh my God, how much money can they make with that?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
a few dollars.
Take the Conan genital size engine and apply this to movies, and no, that's not a function that we ever needed. I don't know that we needed it in the video game. We certainly don't need it in any movies of any sort.
No, I'm pretty sure that is correct. I would prefer not to hear about that at all, ever. Thank you. Quite muchly.
Now we're done with that part.
Thank you.
Mission accomplished. So
wow. I'm
moving on. Yeah, thank you. You should see the pictures that I saw of the characters on that website. And they're all cut off at the waist, so it doesn't matter. Star Wars news. See, let's get away from that quickly. Look how big his lightsaber is. There was an announcement, I think it was earlier today even, that there will not be a Star Wars movie trailer during the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, the first time we're going to see footage from Star Wars The Last Jedi, which still makes me wonder what that last movie is going to be about. The first time we're going to see any footage is going to be in April. During there's a Star Wars festival thing going on, which you'd think would be in May, so they could incorporate May the 4th be with you. Hello. But they're doing it in April because someone smokes crack and can't read a calendar. That's when we're going to first see our Star Wars Last Jedi footage. So
that's interesting.
Yay, April.
Yeah, yay for April, but I wonder what exactly... I mean, do they really not have any footage that they could throw up there for a trailer on the Super Bowl? That's kind of... seems odd.
It seems very strange to everyone who has reported on this. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but there's not much we can do about that either. So,
quite true. Quite true.
What you gonna do? Star Trek news. It was announced from Paramount itself, who owns all the Star Trek stuff, that if you are waiting for HD versions of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, you're never going to get it because they're just not going to do it. They said it's too expensive to recreate, and they just don't think that anyone has the time or the money or interest, except me. I want to see DS9. Voyager, was never my thing. Loved DS9, would love to see it in HD. Not going to happen, though. However, there are going to be new DVD releases with new and remixed sound coming out in the next couple months.
Interesting.
And I heard a sample of them, and it sounds beautiful, but it still looks the same. So make of that what you will. Well, that's the Twilight Zone, isn't it? Kind of a Twilight Zone-ish.
Kind of a Twilight Zone, yeah, it is. Quite a bit. Quite Zone-ish.
Moving from the Twilight Zone into a mistake I made last week. And unlike some people who make mistakes and then absolutely blow it off, like Trump, like that guy. Apparently, about 10 minutes after we finished the last show, during which I said, hey, Cloak and Dagger for that Marvel TV series have been cast as two actors whose names are no longer on the link that I had previously. They said, no, it's now going to be Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph.
You didn't make a mistake.
Playing Cloak and Dagger.
I don't remember the names of the actors that you listed, but I saw the same information. So apparently that was just wrong. because I saw that the next day. I was like, okay, that's different actors, but I saw the same info you did. So either we both were hallucinating because we're huge fans of both of those actors who we can't recall, or things changed. It was just the wrong information or whatever, because that never happens on the internet.
Oh, no, not at all. So my theory is it's not going to be Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph. It's going to be two other characters, and just wait for the show to actually come out before you and read the credits when it gets there.
Actually,
that's my advice.
I just saw a scrawl come across the bottom on my page on Google News, and actually the original actors that were slated for that, they perished in the Bowling Green Massacre, so that's why they had to recast. So unfortunately.
Is that what it was? That is horrible.
So sorry to hear that. It took the best of us. It took the best of us. Yeah. Let's move on from that, because otherwise this is a completely different show.
Did you see the comments that Frederick Douglass made about the Bowling Green Massacre?
I read a couple of them, yes. And
that was wow.
It's chilling. It's chilling.
And speaking of Black History Month, the next DC show being made on the CW. Yeah, this is horrible. Is Black Lightning.
Black Lightning. Nice.
For those of you who remember the Super Friends, Black Lightning somehow got hung up in a copyright thing and was changed to the character Black Vulcan. It's the same guy. Only this time it's going to be yet another live-action DC Comics show in the same universe as Arrow and Flash and so on. This time it's going to be a retired superhero who's now married with kids and gets kind of drawn back into everything. So I think it ought to be interesting. I always thought he was a cool character with Super Friends.
That's a nice a different spin. It's not that it has. I mean, it's been done before in comics, of course, but on screen, I can't recall where that's really been done, unless you want to count the Miller version of Batman, the animated version, which is not quite where he retired and just raised a family. More like he just got like super pissed off and angry and crazy, which is still an awesome Batman story, although Miller went way up the deep end. That's okay. He tends to do that because he's partly insane.
And some good side news for this is, because Black Vulcan was already scheduled to go to pilot, and there's 5 other shows, and CW says we'll only do 6 a year. This means their reboots of Charmed and The Lost Boys have been pushed back at least a year.
That does not break my heart whatsoever. Yeah, exactly. That's excellent news. Which Cloak and Dagger, by the way, is going to be on Freeform, which used to be ABC Family. So I think by 2020, virtually every network that has at least like 50 viewers will have their own superhero series, because it's going all over the place. And for the most part, I mean, some I don't particularly care for, but I can't really think of any that are, well, I take that back. Gotham, I think, is awful. But other than that, because the whole premise is just stupid. But other than that, I think for the most part, they're done really well. And basically, they're better than a lot of the DC movies that Warner's is putting out, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, the movies are bad. But, their shows are good. Marvel, but still. Yeah, the shows are generally pretty good. And we haven't really talked about Gotham.
Sorry.
Curious about what?
Gotham, yes. No. Keep going.
Gotham. We haven't talked about Gotham. I refuse to watch it because the premise is beyond stupid to me, where Bruce Wayne just happens to grow up with every major villain and they all go to the same school. Like, really? Does this make sense that this is how your backstory works? Like, what?
Gotham 90210.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus, how freaking stupid can you be? The premise is awful, and from the clips I've seen, it sucks on top of it. So if you like Gotham, okay, I may be wrong, but I'm sticking to it because I am never going to watch it, because it's and I get the whole concept of, well, superheroes, that's a bizarre concept anyway. But within the framework of the superhero universe, does it really make sense that all of these people would be in the same freaking school? They're all exactly... basically the same age. It's like, oh my God, come on. I mean, how contrived and full of bullshit could you possibly be? Like you said, it's Batman 90210. I was like, just stop with this shit.
I didn't get that far into it. I was curious to see how they were going to do it, because they said it's going to be a Batman series without Batman, which sounded weird.
Right.
And I almost tried to watch it until I found out that the main bad guy is going to be named Fish Mooney. And then I kind of went, you know what? No, I'm done. Hasn't even started yet, and I'm just, no.
I mean, they're trying to replicate the success of Smallville, obviously. But Smallville, from the parts I saw, did a fairly good job of at least following the comics, because Lana was in his hometown. Lex was in the hometown. I mean, that's canon. That's been like that for decades. So it's not contrived, and it's not full of crap.
I think the big difference was there was a Superboy to base it off of. There was never Batboy.
No kidding.
So I think that
just sounds so awful, doesn't it? Batboy.
It does.
How hideous does that sound? Batboy. You know, if they were going to put
MC Hammer was a bad boy for Oakland. Anyway.
That's quite true. He was a bad boy for Oakland. Mr. I don't give a damn about sports, full of sports knowledge anyway.
I don't care about sports anymore. It's still stuck in my head. I can't touch that and don't want to. So other DC shows.
Yes.
New Supergirl this week was two characters are going to be joining the Supergirl series as recurring villains. One is Terry Hatcher, who we know as Lois from the Lois and Clark series. No word on who she's playing yet. And the other one is Kevin Sorbo.
Really?
He formerly of Hercules and/or Andromeda fame. I don't know. Does that make you more interested or less interested in seeing the Supergirl series?
Slightly more interested. Not
just in the
a lot more
curiosity,
but just
who they're going to play.
Yeah, who they're going to play, and I do like the fact, like the Flash series, that they've gone back and used Wesley, and I can't think of the rest of his name. It is like whatever the hell his name is, who played the Flash in the series that was on 30 odd years ago. John Wesley Shipp, yes, thank you. I was going to say John Wesley Hart, and I knew that was the guy who was so mean he once shot a man just for snoring, so I knew that didn't work. So that's a very cool throwback. I like that they do that. I mean, I like that they throw in little Easter eggs like that.
As a recurring character, too.
True. Very cool.
I had a thing for Amanda Page, so anytime we get to put her on screen, I'm good. I don't care how old she is now.
Well, let's find out.
Speaking of old,
just how demented you are.
Well, speaking of old things, Peter Capaldi has announced that he's leaving Doctor Who. I'm putting this in superhero news because I think it counts.
It counts.
And so far, and I love how there's a bookie who is taking bets on who the next Doctor Who is. Bookies all over the UK. Right now, the leader is Ben Whishaw, formerly of the last Bond movie. He played Q, I believe.
Q, yeah. That seems tailor-made, doesn't it?
It's kind of, well, listen to the other people who are on this list, and I think they're kind of interesting. And I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name because I've never heard it pronounced. I've just seen him in stuff. Richard Ayoade. If you've ever seen the show The IT Crowd, the original version, he was the one with the fro and the very nasally voice. But I've seen him in other stuff, and I think it would work. Rory Kinnear from Penny Dreadful. And this is the one that I think a lot of people are going to go, I think he'd be perfect because the Doctor is finally going to be Ginger. Rupert Grint as Doctor Who.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's number 4 on the list. 8-1 odds.
Rory Kinnear. I can see that working. I can see any of them
Rory
working.
Kinnear, I looked at and went, I'm not liking Rory Kinnear as much. But, you know, when I first saw Matt Smith, I went, he's friggin' 12. Why is the Doctor being played by a 12-year-old kid? But you know what? He turned out to be okay. So,
I never could get into Matt Smith. He was too different from Tennant, which is like, that's kind of the whole point, and I know. But I just couldn't get into the Matt Smith character. But I think
it wasn't so much Matt Smith that I didn't like much, but Amy annoyed the crap out of me.
Sometimes the companions are just total pains in the ass. Wish I would be very interested.
No, the thing that actually killed me on this, the show at this point in the series, the show is 48 years old. And then they start a thing with Amy as the companion. My name is Amy, and I have a friend called the Doctor, and I swear this was one of the lines, and he's from somewhere else. Seriously, that's the best line you can come up. He's not from Gallifrey. He's from another planet. He's from somewhere else. Shut up. But they go through the whole explanation of the TV series. It's 48 years old. If you don't know, if you haven't caught on by now, how the hell are you still watching it? Fingernails on chalkboard, or worse.
Yeah.
Not like that at all. Made me grumpy.
I can understand that. Which, of course, this means that they won't go with any of those 4 people. But it would be very interesting. Wish I would be very interesting. Oh, my God. All right, we're done. That's it. It needs to be him.
What?
Perfect.
Well, actually, no, I think Eddie Izzard would be better as the Master. Tell me that wouldn't work.
That would totally work. But I can also see him as like the Doctor, and he's just decided to abdicate it, and he really doesn't want to save the universe anymore. Just the hell with it. Let everybody play around, and just have some like a few shows of just utter destruction, and then he kind of decides, okay,
sure, why not?
Just for giggles, I'll start carrying again. God.
While we're still somewhat in the superhero category, and I saw this on IMDb and actually a couple other places this past week. I'm going back to Marvel because they had a crossover with Doctor Who at some point. Doctor Who and the X-Men, I think it was, which was very weird, and I recommend avoiding it at all costs. The Incredible Hulk movie, which a lot of people didn't care for. I liked it. Personally, I thought it was a lot better than the Ang Lee version of the Hulk.
I like the Ang Lee version actually, but I did like the Incredible version quite a bit better.
See, the Ang Lee version, he kept changing size, and I'm like, no, don't do that. You know, he got big, fine. Leave him the same big size. He's not, he's the size of a tank. He's the size of a building. He's the size of the Statue of Liberty. And I didn't get that.
Which is a slight exaggeration. And I kind of know what they were playing with, because supposedly he gets stronger, and in some versions he gets physically larger as the rage builds, whatever. But I mean, it's better not done that way. And there were a lot of issues with that version. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but the Incredible Hulk, was much better. Had a better villain. Got Thunderbolt Ross in with the right actor, so it was much better. I'm kind of. It doesn't really stack up with a lot of the later Marvel efforts, just because they're so damn good. But that's a pretty high bar. I enjoyed it. Quite a bit. I thought it's unfortunate that it kind of gets. It's something what?
Well, it's unfortunate that. Keep going. Finish that thought.
No, just it's unfortunate that it's thought of as just kind of a lesser effort, which I don't agree. I mean, I thought it was very well done, and Bruce Banner's excellent, a great portrayal of the struggle that he had. I thought that's the best that they've done in any of the Hulk incarnations by far.
See, I agree with that. I don't get all the hate.
I don't know.
Speaking of all the hate, now I'm gonna bring up another movie that you didn't care for, and I know you didn't care for it, but that's okay.
That's okay.
The Superbat movie.
Oh my God, I hate it.
See?
I don't hate it.
My question for you.
I was disappointed. In
exactly.
Yes.
See, I'm thinking we talk about movies that, it wasn't a good movie. I'm wondering if the Superbat movie wasn't just because it wasn't as bad as Ishtar, or The Wicker Man, or Catwoman, or whatever that Kirk Cameron Christmas movie was.
Oh my God! No, it's nowhere near those things,
right?
Which
it was,
aren't quite movies.
We wanted it to be more, but I think it's kind of the Superbat movie to me was more of a setup to get them to the Justice League movie because they're wanting to catch up with Marvel. Which
right.
I think that the Justice League movie looks like it's going to have a good cast. You got Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Girl Away, and Bouncing Betty. No, wait, that's a MASH episode. Anyway, my only things that I'm not caring for with the Justice League movie, not storyline wise, I don't care for the Super Nintendo wireframe cyborg, and Flash's armor is, I think, the opposite of aerodynamic. Other than that, I think it looks pretty good.
I like what they've done with the character. From what you can see from the little snippet of the Flash's character that was in the Superbat movie, as you put it, which is a great way to put it. I like that incarnation of the character a lot. I think that's very well done, and that's how that character needs to be played. The big thing with me with the Superbat movie, as you say, is it's disappointing because it's so far from the established characters as they've been established for decades in the comics and in film just recently. And if it had been brand new characters, it's very similar to what you talked about in the latest Fantastic Four debacle, which is a crap Fantastic Four movie. But if they're new, fresh characters, it's not a bad movie at all. And that would be the same thing with this. It wouldn't be that bad of a movie, although still there were some things that were just completely stupid, like Martha. Oh my God, we're besties. It's like that's moronic. That's moronic no matter what those people are. Nobody acts like that.
That was a script error.
Yeah, that was, and there were a lot of them, which was a big part of my problem with the movie. It's incredibly lazy writing compared to, you see a lot of the Marvel films, and they work like nice pieces of Swiss watchmaking craft or good watches because all the pieces fit and everything meshes, and this makes this happen and this makes this happen, and it's not just, I have no idea how to stop this conflict, so we'll just figure out that they realize both their moms' names are Martha, and now they're friends for no reason whatsoever. So, that was the disappointment. Like when I wrote the review, it's like people have been waiting for this movie. Some people have been waiting for this movie for 40, 50, 60 years, and they screwed it. So that's the disappointment. Fresh new characters, much better film because then there's no expectations for how they would act. I'm still very hopeful for the Justice League movie, just because it's a lot more fun to look forward to a movie than dreading it. So I'm really hoping that it's good. It's to get political again when people say it's like, well, why would you want the current president to do badly? I don't. I want him to do well for everybody. Why the hell would I want him to screw the country up? I don't. So it's just a matter of the interpretation of what is good and what isn't. I don't really care for Cyborg in the Justice League movie, period, because to me he's not one of, and I know obviously in the more recent incarnations, and by recent I mean like within 20 years, he's a much bigger part, but I would much rather see the Martian Manhunter because that's a much more interesting character to me. But, I can see them
being more.
You can see him being what?
As long as you don't cast, who was he in the TV series? David Ogden Stiers.
Oh my God!
As Martian Manhunter was.
That doesn't work.
That didn't work.
But if you introduce him in the Justice League movie, and maybe he could even be introduced slightly, and then do a standalone movie. Would you rather see a standalone movie about the last Martian and how he has to fit in to humanity, or some football jock who turns into a half robot android cyborg guy? I mean, the Martian is a much more interesting story to me. Not that the cyborg isn't, but we've seen that kind of stuff before. a lot. So
the thing with Martian Manhunter is, and this is, spoiler, he's in Supergirl.
True.
So I think that's where they were, since he's not, for some reason, that eludes both of us, he's not a mainstream hero. Do not know why. He was an original member of the Justice League way back in whenever that was.
63, 4, something like that.
Something like that. But, because he's not that mainstream person, they're putting him in the TV show and seeing how he does there before they bring him up to the movies. That's the theory that I've been hearing. So I'm hoping he gets there. I really am. Because he was...
Well, I think eventually he will. It just depends on how much time they devote to the character. Eventually, I can see him definitely, if Justice League does well, and I can't imagine it not making money.
It's going to make a lot of money.
Right. So there's no reason to think that they wouldn't expand and him show up like in a sequel. So, or maybe a team up with whoever. He teams up with Batman in some future incarnation, which would not be the Batfleck movie because
no,
highly unlikely that would happen. But I do have news about the Batfleck movie, which I'm sure you already know.
Uh-oh.
There was word. It's not bad. There was word a few weeks ago that Affleck had asked them to redesign the Bat cowl because he's had a very difficult time turning his head, looking around, and it's hot as hell. And the fact of getting that costume on and staying in that costume because he's directing the film was an incredible challenge just in itself. Just the fact that you're wearing this 30, 40-pound latex-ridden armor for 10, 12, 14 hours a day turned out to be just an almost impossible challenge, so much so that he is no longer directing the Batman film. So they're looking at another director. I wonder if Christopher Nolan is busy. So they're looking at another director, but Affleck is still starring. He's still producing. So there's really no reason to think it's going to be any drop in quality. Matter of fact, in some ways, maybe it'll be better because he specifically said it's going to be too much of a challenge to act and give it the effort he wanted to give it and direct at the same time because of the constraints of wearing this costume. So to me, that's good news for the film. I would rather him drop out of the director role than the acting role because I thought he was great. He was one of the highlights in the Super Bat movie. So that's good news about it. I think the project can move forward on time now. So that's not bad at all. So that was pretty cool.
I'm about to make a very bizarre segue.
I love it.
It's going to have 3 wheels and no gyroscopes. Saw a movie this week, and as I was watching it, I was trying to figure out what the best way to describe it was. And what I came up with was if Dragnet were done like Adam West's Batman TV series.
Oh, my God. I want to see it now.
And that's about what it is. Add a little bit of language and take away the biff, bam, kaplowy special effects and have it star Frank Sinatra, and you're going to get the original Tony Rome movie.
Oh, now I've got to watch it. I told you a couple
weeks ago. I accidentally watched the sequel first. I didn't know there was an original. I found the original. I watched it this week, and that's exactly what it is. Instead of he's not a cop, he's a private investigator. Okay, fine. There's still, I think it was mainly the music that made me go, this is a Batman episode. What the hell? And I'll admit, I have not seen a whole lot of movies from that era because, 1, it was before me, and 2, I haven't cared about anything that wasn't, I guess, Bond. So I'm watching this going, this is a Batman episode. Only it's more like, it's Dragnet as a Batman episode. And it worked. It was very silly in a lot of places, but it was a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a good mystery movie set in the 60s with Frank Sinatra, find Tony Rome and brace yourself because that has got to be one of the least intelligible theme songs I have ever heard, but it's sung by Nancy Sinatra. So now she has 2 songs to her list. the Tony Rome theme and something about Boots, who was running off with Dora in the jungle looking for clues with a small blue dog made out of felt. I've crossed that with too many other things. Tony Rome, it was a good movie.
And it has Jill St. John, who was quite cute.
Absolutely.
Like quite cute actresses from the 60s. Speaking of James Bond, she, of course, is in a James Bond film as well. So
Diamonds
Tony
are occasional.
Rome.
Or something.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Diamonds for all occasions. So sticking with the theme of older movies, although it's from another decade, and it is from our usual vein, which is more the fantastic things. We were talking last week about a cult classic film which is being turned into a TV series, and I said, yes, that's the one I was thinking of. And no, it wasn't the one I was thinking of. Probably, and no, I did not.
How the hell you got
I did not confuse the films. I was just thinking I could not think of the movie, and then that came up, and I was like, well, okay, that's a cult film that I really, really like. That probably is it. Because what are the odds that two cult films from like the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s would be turned into TV series at the same time? Well, apparently the odds are really good. Because another cult film, oh my God, there's probably 5 every week on a network that are debuting. Time After Time was the film that I was thinking of, which came out in 1979. Not Heathers. It's Time After Time, which is a very different kind of film. It is basically H.G. Wells is a friend of Jack the Ripper. Of course, he doesn't know he's Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper uses H.G.'s time machine because the time machine is real, and Jack the Ripper escapes into modern day Los Angeles, which again at that point it was 1979. So H.G., of course, being a writer, he figures, well, I'll have to go after him, so he does. And so the film is H.G. Wells pursuing Jack the Ripper in modern times, and it's just the culture shock that they go through. And Jack the Ripper loves it, as these times were made for him, or he made these times, whichever way the line goes. David Warner plays the Ripper, and he's awesome in the role because he just like drips menace and foul conceit because he's really, really good at that. And Malcolm McDowell.
Zark in Tron?
Exactly. He was Zark in Tron.
Okay.
And Malcolm McDowell, who, of course, a lot of times plays sometimes more villainous roles. And, of course, he is in A Clockwork Orange. And he was a villain / victim / whatever in A Clockwork Orange. Exactly. He was a Moloko addict. He is H.G. Wells. And he's great in the role. He's this very kind of a milquetoast, he's something of a dainty fellow, by which I mean he is not a man of action, but he's kind of forced to become a man of action. But at the same time, he's H.G. Wells, so he's very bright, and he's trying to think his way through the problem. And it's a really, really good science fiction / love story / science fiction action film. Really good stuff. So, and actually, I'm looking forward to the series because if they do it right, it can be extremely, extremely good because I can see H.G. I mean, it could be a long developing story about how Wells adapts to modern society, how different it is from the England of his time. And, of course, the Ripper would be he would be reveling at it. Oh, my God. You know, it's like he'll probably go on Twitter and talk about his and that is not a spoiler because I have no idea what happens. But I would be amazed if he doesn't use social media to brag about his latest killings. So I can see this progressing episode to episode to episode, and like the arc of the characters, and it could be great. Could also suck because hey, it's entertainment and that happens too. But I'm actually looking forward to this more than the Heathers thing because the Heathers are putting such an odd spin on it, as you said last time, that it just it doesn't really even make sense. So unless they're going to put a bizarre spin on this where, H.G. goes crazy because of the modern times and he becomes a serial killer and Jack the Ripper is a doctor and he's trying to catch him to cure him, God, please don't let that be the case. Just freaking do the story straight. So really looking forward to that.
I will put
that
in the no category if you do it.
Oh, my God. The hell no category. We need a new one. A remake, we've talked about remakes before, and a remake I would really like to see them do. And in some ways they've kind of done it, but I would like to see them do a straight remake of The Dirty Dozen. I just watched that a couple nights ago, the original Lee Marvin, blah, 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 came out in the late 60s. And I noticed there are some things that just, like when they fire the weapons, they're shooting one person, and in almost every instance, they're firing off 15, 20 rounds. It's like, really? You guys are supposed to be soldiers? And I understand that, they were kind of scruffy soldiers because they were all sentenced to 30 years in prison or the death penalty, whatever. So they weren't model soldiers, but I'm pretty sure they understood how to fire weapons. They would have run out of ammunition so freaking quickly. It's ridiculous. And
I remember seeing something on a remake of The Dirty Dozen, but it was a while ago.
Yeah, and if they did it right, I think it would be really good. I mean, they did a sequel, I think late 70s, which I vaguely remember seeing. And the fact that I only vaguely remember seeing it is like, yeah, it wasn't very good at all. It still had Lee Marvin in it. Obviously, Lee Marvin won't be in this because he died. A
little bit.
But I can see this as working really well because, I mean, it's a movie that people like, but it's not that well known anymore simply because it's too old. And it's almost become too familiar because it's on TV quite a bit. I can see them doing and you can do a weird little spin on it if you have to, fine. But I think a Dirty Dozen remake, I think it could be really, really good. I mean, they did The Magnificent Seven, which I thought was really a really good film. I don't think it did particularly well at the box office, though, which is unfortunate. And I'm looking right now to see.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you this while you're looking. The last I heard of a Dirty Dozen remake, it was going to be written by Zach Penn.
Sean's brother?
He of X-Men 2 and Inspector Gadget. Wow. I'm not entirely sure that would go over terribly well.
No,
but the good news is this rumor came out of 2007, so it's 10 years old. I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, he could be dead by now, so it won't happen. Yeah, Magnificent Seven did $160 million worldwide, which is these days pretty crappy. Yeah, wow. 93 million domestic, which is virtually nothing, which is sad because, again, I think it's a really, really good movie. The actors are very good, and they did put some twists on the film, on the original story.
Right.
I'll just say that some of the people, I mean, they match up the characters in the remake that they did in the original. You can tell who plays who, but the characters are, in some places, are rather different, and not everyone who survived in the first one survives in this one. So there are some elements of, I did not expect that to happen. So I thought it was a really good movie. That's definitely a movie that I would recommend people to see when it shows up on whatever.
See, my thing is, I have never sat through the original. And I watched the new one, and I said, I liked this. I can now say there are two Westerns that I kind of like.
What's the other Western that you kind of like?
The other Western is, and I prefer it to The Magnificent Seven, was still support your local sheriff. And
that's a rather different film.
Oh, very, very different.
Yeah.
Geez. James Garner as... Basically,
yep.
James Garner is a superhero in a town full of idiots. And if you like the concept of that, just put it in the Old West, and I think it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
It's very funny. Very funny.
It does take a little bit to get started. Wait until he gets his $8 meal at the restaurant or whatever. And from there, you just kind of go, wow. And he even knows, as he's going through this movie, the people in this town are idiots. And I think that's what made it for me, was that he knows he's in a town full of idiots. And he's not. So that's okay. It works.
I have two questions for you. Is that a film that they should remake? Because it kind of fits that category. It was popular in its time. No? You don't want it touched because it's too good? No. You can't make that. If you're going to remake something, you should remake it better. Mm-hmm. And you can't make, there's nothing in it to make better.
It's a nice cohesive storyline, and it works. And it's really weird, but it's got a good cast of people. You go, hey, that's the guy from Thing, and hey, it's Colonel Potter from that.
I agree with you 99% of the time. Is don't remake films don't remake Casablanca. You can't make it better, so why are you trying? So I totally get that point. My other question though is just for the sake of argument, because James Garner, he adds a lot just by being James Garner. You know, he's not suave and not slick, but there's kind of elements of that to him, and he's very charming and comes across as bright. And at the same time, he kind of has this attitude that's like, really, why? He's kind of exasperated in the background the whole time in a lot of his roles. Because like you said, because he's not the idiot. And it's like, really, I have to do this. Okay, I'll do it. I'll put a smile on my face.
Leaning against the bar going, why did you just do that?
Right. Would Ryan Reynolds be good in that role? Because that was the first name that popped in my head. It's like, I can see him doing that kind of thing.
If anyone today is going to do it, it would probably have to be him.
I think he fits that kind of character.
The only other person, and I hate to say this because he's in everything these days, Chris Pratt. Maybe.
Chris Pratt. Yeah, I thought about Chris Pratt too.
I would prefer to see Ryan Reynolds in the role, though.
Yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds has a little bit more of that slick, hard edge. Well, and the flip side of that is, wouldn't James Garner have been an awesome Deadpool? Oh my God. I can see James Garner growing a tiny little hand, and it's like, oh my, that just makes me ill thinking about it. That could be a new segment. Which actor who is no longer with us would be a great current role?
Deadpool.
That would be fun. Deadpool, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, a serious film.
I'm writing it down. Which actor who is no longer with us?
Yeah. Why not? And a follow-up.
I'll come up with a sting for it now.
Who would be the new Chris Pine? Who would be in every freaking movie? That's the other thing. A film that I watched this week is an excellent, excellent movie. Fences, also known as Hidden Fences by a couple people in the Academy. Awesome film. I mean, and people who are more aware of theater, they know about it because it's a play. It was written in the 80s by August Wilson and won the Pulitzer and won the Tony and blah, blah, blah. So it's hardly an unknown product. Denzel Washington stars and directed. I don't know the background of how long he worked to get this made. I have a feeling that he's probably been working a long, long time to make this film, since, again, it's been around forever. And Wilson wrote the screenplay, which is pretty cool. And being, adapted from a play, so it's a little, they opened it up quite a bit. There's more scenes than just like, in the play, it just takes place in this guy's backyard. And it's just the story of a guy who kind of feels like life cheated him. And at the same time, he's not willing to accept that life cheated him. And he's not necessarily a really good person. He's flawed in a lot of ways, but that makes him real. And Denzel Washington, as I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking, man, this is the best he's been since Training Day, which is quite a while ago. And of course, he won the Oscar for that. I think it's better. I think he's better in this than he was in Training Day. Very different character, of course, but he is so freaking good in this movie. The whole cast is great. Viola Davis plays his wife, and she's terrific. She has a few powerful scenes. She's kind of, her role kind of mirrors what the role within the film is. She's the dutiful wife, and she's there to support her husband, and that's kind of what her role is in the film. She's supporting Denzel, but again, she does have a couple of very strong scenes, and definitely deserves her nomination. But man, Denzel is like, man, it absolutely blew me away. I've not seen all the performances yet that are nominated for lead, but I can't imagine him not winning because he is just fantastic.
Really?
It is such a good film. And it's odd because two of the we got 9 films nominated. Manchester by the Sea. It's kind of a father-son story, although it's not really the father, but it's the uncle, and it's the father-son relationship. Really, is what it's about. Fences, same thing. That's at the core of it is a father-son relationship. So you've got two of these difficult father-son relationship stories that aren't particularly happy stories, but I mean they're both very, very real. And Casey Affleck is great in Manchester by the Sea, but Denzel is, man, he is freaking awesome in this movie, which is like, oh, Denzel Washington is acting well. Like, imagine that. It's like, when the hell isn't he? I mean, yeah, he's in just throwaway films, and it's like you watch just because, oh man, I got to watch The Book of Eli again because, the film's just going to, but he is so cool in that movie because he is. But man, he is so damn good in this movie. I just absolutely go see Fences. It's still at the theaters, and go see Hidden Figures too. And until I saw Fences, I thought Hidden Figures, wow, it's hard. Right now, I guess I would say Fences was the better picture. Really? Doesn't mean it's my favorite, but Fences they're both phenomenal films. And when we were talking about if the nominations, 6 African-American actors got nominations this year, and if that was almost like a token thing so we wouldn't hear Oscars So White again, oh no. The performances I've seen is like it would be a travesty if these men and women weren't nominated, and Denzel absolutely should win, hands down. He's just, man, he's freaking awesome. The supporting actors, we'll get into it because we're still weeks away from the Oscars, so we'll get into it for an Oscar special. So, and I still have not seen any of the films with these nominated best actresses. Best supporting I have, but not best actresses. So, but Fences is,
you want a movie that's not nominated?
I can think of a few, but tell me one.
Saw Inferno, the latest in the Dan Brown series.
Ew.
Starring Tom Hanks and Jen Erso. No, that's not right. Felicity Jones.
Yes.
That took me. I'm watching it halfway through the movie. I'm going, where the hell do I know her from? And I've got this cross-referencing system on my entertainment system, and I'm like, all right, cross-referencer, who the hell is that? And because Rogue One isn't out yet, it can't cross-reference it.
Ah.
So I went and looked her up. Oh, it's Jen Erso from Rogue One. Okay, fine. Anyway, directed by Ron Howard. So I'm going to go ahead and say this because I know you weren't a big fan of the Dan Brown series anyway.
Right.
But there was a line that made me think specifically of you because toward the end of the movie, and this is not a spoiler, there's a potential villain who has Robert Langdon pinned down, and another potential villain comes in and saves him and looks Robert Langdon in the face and says, this whole thing is a bit contrived, isn't it? It's all so weird and doesn't seem very realistic. And you kind of go, son of a bitch, you are absolutely correct.
That's hilarious.
It is. It's a brilliant line, and it fits. It's basically a biohazard spy thriller. Actually, I thought it was a fun movie, probably better than the other two,
Really?
Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, because it was kind of fun. It never really slows down like some spy thrillers do to throw in exposition. It slows to sleep mode, and then all of a sudden you go, oh wait, we're back to an action scene. This one pretty much constantly keeps going, and it's not
that is good.
How did we get the cryptographer into a murder mystery movie? They had it make sense.
Really? That's impressive.
So, you know what?
Seriously.
If you enjoyed the first two, you will enjoy this one. If you didn't like the first two, Todd, you may actually like this because it was, apart from the, let's see, what was it? The beating him about the head repeatedly thing. It's not a bad movie. And the bad guy is, I read the book. And thing is, I read the book when it came out 2,000 years ago. So I didn't remember enough of it. But it made for a fun movie. So if you've got, the free credits through your pay-per-view system, go for it.
I enjoyed the books. I mean, actually, I didn't read Inferno, but I read the first two, and I enjoyed them quite a bit. It's just, it seemed like they were recycling too much of it, which I know the books do too. But it just seems different in the film for me. But I'll definitely watch it on your recommendation, and if I hate it, you'll probably hear about it next week.
You can blame me.
But Ron Howard, I think, is a really good director. I mean, is everything perfect? Of course not, but no director is, you know. So he's made some.
Opie Cunningham would grow up to be such a great director.
Seriously, I mean, is that not bizarre? Who saw that coming? Because he's made some fantastic films. He really has.
He has. So,
and things that are not quite perfect, like to me, that the Angels and Demons, you know, it's like, okay, that wasn't that great.
Better.
Yeah, the book was better. But is it a terrible movie? No, not at all. Not a terrible movie at all. So when he misses, it's still watchable. You know, it's not like it's not
the home run
face of the earth.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like M. Night Shyamalan did for like a decade. So,
really?
But you mentioned Felicity Jones. Mentioning Felicity Jones, she's also in A Monster Calls, which we talked about last week, which is a very good film. Is she like going to be is she the female Chris Pine? Is she going to be like in everything? Because it seems like every other time you turn around. Yeah, which is cool because she's quite good. I mean, I haven't seen Inferno, but she's excellent in A Monster Calls. And as far as the script will let her go in Rogue One, she's very good in Rogue One.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, you keep putting her in stuff. We like that.
Yes, we do like that. That's quite good.
Yeah. So, does that bring us to the end of another episode?
That brings us to the end of another episode, unless you have more episodic information.
I hope not. I mean, no, I don't.
I hope not. Is that any way to talk? I think we are done then.
Oh, that would mean I have completely misplaced all of my notes. So,
I believe with that, of course, other shows. Yes, other shows are the the Cover 32 Seahawks show, which will probably have a post-mortem on one of the Super Bowl teams because one of them will probably lose tomorrow. I picture that happening. I can definitely predict that one of the two teams will lose. And on Wednesdays, we will have Late Night Parents with Ted Hicks. And Name Press with Danny Thompson is on Thursdays, and Earnestly Speaking with DJ Christian is on Fridays. And a certain gentleman of whom I am relatively well acquainted has podcasts.
Just the one this week, in 2 Pages of Mystery, coming out this Wednesday. Lieutenant Cooper Wright investigates the murder of a professional ice skating judge in the story Iced. Comes out Wednesday. Check it out on 2pagesofmystery.com. Also, check out the website for the book, because that's out now.
Which I have purchased.
Available from Amazon, Books a Million, Barnes & Noble, and 5 million other places.
And if you're really nice, the author may actually sign a copy and send it to you. I've heard that.
I might do that. There is a possibility.
And I have my copy, but it's been a busy week. And I have not had a chance to even crack it open, as they say. But hopefully I'll have more time this week. So
I had someone ask me if they would sign their Kindle version, and the answer is, I'll see what I can do, but you might not be able to read anything after that.
If you wish to have your Kindle device corrupted, contact Rob Steele at...
I'll see what I can do.
We will see what he
can
do.
Week,
and there you go.
Ariel! Oopa! Ride!
Do you think they will let me live in Montana? I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but it's a living. Darn, that's the end.
If you own a small business, it's not a question of if some hacker is going to attempt to attack your company. It's a question of when. Let cyberpolicy.com keep you safe. CyberPolicy is the first end-to-end solution that combines cyber planning, security, and insurance. With Cyber Policy, your business will be protected against cyber attacks for as little as 40 cents a day. Visit cyberpolicy.com today and get a quote in just 4 minutes. Cyberpolicy.com.